So we are going to continue where we left off yesterday. Let's just go back and do a little review because I really kind of flew through this. Can somebody reinforce for all of us how actually, if you're an employer at garnishment works? What happens? How do you know?
You get a letter from the judge.
Now, basically, you get a letter from the circuit court or the judge or the county clerk that says a lien has been filed against one of your employees' paychecks. Do you have to comply with the garnishment, or can you be like, oh my gosh, I don't really have the enough capacity? No, you got to do it. Right, you got to do it. Let's generate some names of different kinds of garnishments. Warren, what's one thing your wages can be garnished for? It's okay, just off the top of your head. Amanda? Yeah, child support's one. What else? Student loans, federal tax levies. I owe money to the IRS. Creditor debt, just regular old, I defaulted on my medical bill to St. Patrick's. Bankruptcy proceedings. Now those are all kinds of garnishments. Or just good old fashioned, like I borrowed money from you and we signed a promissory note and I didn't pay you back. Okay, how much can they take of your paycheck?
It depends.
It totally depends. What does it depend on?
Well, I think it said 25% for a regular, and then it
Yeah.
said 50 to 60 for child support unless you're in arrears, and then you go to another 5%.
That's exactly correct. So I think the number that they gave us in the book is up to 25% for regular creditors, up to 65% for child support. And if you have tax debt, it's actually a calculation where they add up your standard deduction and your exemptions. And that number is as much as you can keep of your own paycheck. $1 million a year or $40,000 a year. They're only going to let you keep the total of your standard deduction. If you're unemployed and you're getting unemployment checks, is that your question?
Like, you still
There's nothing to garnish. They can lien your assets, like come get your car, for example. But honestly, like in a lot of situations I see, I mean, people don't have any assets, you don't have any income, you can't really bleed a stone. I mean, what are you coming to get, your kidneys? I mean, there's nothing to take.
So you said like the 25% for regular and 65% for child support.
Right.
So that 65, is that after, like a 65% after the 25% already taken out, or is that
No.
combined? So it's like 90%?
No, it's that 65 encompasses the
Okay.
25. And disposable income's what again? It's after your taxes. What if you make like good contributions to your 401k or your HSA or your, no, that doesn't count. So disposable income is virtually just gross minus taxes. So I can't get out from underneath that percentage by putting in $1,000 a week into my 401k. Right? Okay, so let's do some support work or reinforcement work on our journal entries, and then we'll just kind of keep going. So if I run a payroll, does the way that I make my payroll journal entries depend on the size or the frequency of the payroll? No. If I lay you off after working one day, I'm going to make the same 2 journal entries as I do if I process payroll for a 10,000 person company, right? What are the 2 payroll journal entries in general? Then what's one of them? To record what?
We need to report receipts, gross income, net income, in addition, taxes that we're holding out their funds.
Good. One journal entry is to record gross pay, net pay, and all the withholdings, not just taxes, let's just call them withholdings, because there's a whole slew of them potentially. That's one. Brett, what's the other one?
Payroll expenses, such as.
Payroll, tax expenses.
Yeah.
One is for gross wages and one is for payroll tax expenses. The employers, and what are the 4 payroll tax expenses again? OESPI, HI, FUTA, and SUTA. Right? Everyone got that? I think we've done through that like 4 times. I think in nursery line. Okay, good. This was what we did on Monday, or Tuesday, excuse me. We journalized, these were just 2 employees, right? The gross wage is always debited to wage expense. The withholdings are always credited. It is critical that you have the word payable in every single one of the withholdings, even though they don't down here in the group insurance payments. I want that to be called insurance payable. So I know that you know that it's what kind of account? A liability. Very good. And then, I don't know that I talked about this, well, I did it really super quickly. That credit to cash here for 1292.86, is there any other account that could be credited other than cash? I could credit something called salaries payable, which is another liability. Why would I do that rather than crediting cash right away? If I'm making an accrual entry at the end of a month, or if I'm recording my payroll today, it's got to go through a lot of reviews, let's say, and I'm not going to probably cut the paycheck for another week, I would set it up as a salaries payable. And then when I actually cut the checks, all I would do is what? Debit, salaries payable, and then credit cash. Okay, good. On this guy, really the easiest way to do this is to go do your kind of indent and make all your credits first, and then add them up and debit your payroll tax expense. Once you make a journal entry, so we left off that last one, let's just keep going. When you make a journal entry, then what's the next step? You got to post it. And once you get everything in your general ledgers, then you can make your financial statements, produce your financial statements at the end of the month, right? Did you guys all, I assume you all have borrowed for accounting? Did you work with T accounts with her? Okay. So general ledgers anymore, I mean, they're just digital, they're behind the scenes, you don't see them. But T accounts is normally what students work with. Okay. Workers' comp. Let's talk a little bit about workers' comp. Is this something you can elect out of? No, it's mandatory, isn't it? And how does that actually work? Do you pay like a payroll tax after the period or before the period? Before. It actually is before. And that makes it different from everything else, from all the other payroll tax expenses. Okay, here's the critical part about this. All of them are based on an employee's classification. So if I'm a nurse in an inner city ER, I'm going to have a very different classification than a secretary or a home health worker. Which of those 3 examples do you think would have the highest workers' comp premiums? The home health worker. I mean, talk about potential for injury. You're going and by yourself moving people. Talk about having to have great body mechanics when you've got somebody maybe twice or 3 times your body weight that you're trying to move, right? So, the home health worker, I'm going to pay him $13 an hour and probably pay another $4 an hour and work with comp on him, right? Because there's a high propensity for injury. There's a secretary, really shy of like falling off the chair. I don't know how she's going to get hurt, right? So really super low rates.
So this is like an asset, it'd be like
Prepaid insurance. Yeah, okay, did you answer Warren's question? It's like, what do you do? So say that I do, and we're going to spend a whole day doing these calculations. But I do all my projections, and I get a bill from workers' comp for $12,000 for the upcoming year. and I cut him a check. What account does that go to? Prepaid insurance, which is what type of account again? An asset. And then I write off a little piece of that to insurance expense every month, right? Or quarter, however often I close my books. Good, good question. Okay, they tell you to put it in expense. That's not really how it works. Unless you're just paying 1 month at a time. So the way that this works is you estimate your premiums prepaid for the next year. And then at the end of the year, you have to report to workers' comp how much your actual wages were and get even. So I estimated X, but my real wages were Y. Now I need to make some adjustments. And then they either owe you money or you owe them money, and then the whole process starts again for the next year. Okay, we practiced depositing the 941 taxes. Tell me what the asterisk is prompting you to remember when you make this deposit. Go ahead.
You have to do multiply the taxes.
Make sure to go pick it up from both the employee and the employer. That is a classic student error. And I know you know this because we've been saying FICA, FICA, FIT all semester long. Make sure when you make the deposit to go get those shares of OASDI, both shares of HI. Why am I debiting the payable now? When you debit a liability, what are you doing to it? Decreasing it. And of course I'm decreasing it because I'm paying it off now, right? So what do all the other deposits look like? The FUTA payable, and the SUTA payable, and the SIP payable. They look exactly the same. This is the only one that's packaged with other taxes. All the other taxes are deposited on their own. So depositing SIT, you're not packaging that with anything, you're just doing it on its own. Same with SUTA. Okay. End of period adjustment. This is layman's terms for accruals. First off, how do you spell accrual? You can't believe how many different ways I see students spell this. Yeah, ACC RUALS. Write that down. You need to be able to spell accrual as a business student. ACC RUAL. Accrual. What does to accrue something mean? To build it up, great, right? So what am I trying to accrue? Or why do I try and accrue in accounting? Because I want to comply with which principle again? We just did this on Monday, Tuesday. Matching principle. I'm going to match my expenses with my revenues. So I'm going to accrue for wages payable. I'm going to accrue for vacation payable. Anything that you guys accrue when you work for me, I've got to get in this month's books. Sick pay, vacation pay, anything. All right, bonus that you've accrued. And every single one of these look exactly the same. So let's just try this one. I need to make an accrual, an adjusting entry, for wages that were earned in one period that are going to be paid in the next. So in this example, at the end of December, you've earned $2,400 and they're going to be paid next year. Write down your journal entry, please. Accrual entries generally look the same time after time. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? You got to debit your expense and credit your payable. So what happens on my financial statements? What just happened to my P&L by that entry? What happened to the net income? Went down, right? Because I posted an expense to it. Even though I didn't pay it, I posted an expense to it. Now, here's the tricky part. Hi. Yeah, you're fine. Welcome. I'm Lisa. So super exciting. We're learning about payroll. These are some students from up in St. Ignatius that are taking a look at the college today, and they wanted to sit in on a couple classes. And feel free to exit whenever you get really bored. So that entry is going to drop the net income because we just posted an expense. Here's the key part though. When I run my general ledger, my wage expense account, is that going to balance to my W-2s that I'm issuing? Why not? You're shaking your head no. One more time. Yeah, my W-2s are only based on the cash wages I pay people, right? So it's not going to tie it. If I have an accrual-based system, what my financial statements say are not going to tie into my W-2s, are they? That should be kind of profound because, believe me, as a starting bookkeeper, you're going to be like, oh my God, why are my W-2s not balanced to my books? That's why. Okay, let's take a look at one more. Okay, so you guys all work for me and you accrue vacation pay. I let you accrue. Well, why don't you figure this out for me? If I can find a pen, if I give you 3 weeks of vacation a year and you work full time, this is actually pretty easy now. I give you 3 weeks a year of vacation and you work 40 hours a week for me. How many hours a month do you accrue? How many hours a month do you accrue? You guys have paper, pencil, and calculators? No, we're just sitting in. 3 weeks a year, I give you vacation, and you work for me full time. How many hours a month do you earn or accrue a vacation? 10? 10. 3 weeks a year, you work 40 hours a week for me. 120 hours a year, I pay you to take vacation. That's pretty cool. So if I'm accruing vacation once a month, 120 hours a year, divided by 12 months, I'm going to pay you or accrue for you 10 hours a month of vacation pay.
So if you work somewhere and they say that it's based off of 1 hour a week, and you get to end up with 3 weeks at the end of the year, if you end up working more than that 40 hours, you accrue.
No, vacation pay is based on your standard work schedule. So what am I going to debit and what am I going to credit? You don't need to be fancy. Same thing. But it's actually going to go into a special account called vacation pay. Vacation pay expense and vacation pay payable, or something along those lines. Okay. So that when you earn it, or when you take vacation, what do I call it out of? I call it out of vacation pay payable. That's a mouthful. I'll say that 3 times fast. Okay. Good. Okay, they call it vacation benefits, whatever. All right, so that is it for the PowerPoint slide. You need to go through the homework, but I want to, just for giggles, have you take a look at another type of payroll register. And I'd like you to set up a journal, please, in your notebooks. And this is, you can see, a payroll register that was ran on the 2nd of January for these 6 people. It's these names all just happened to end the day. So obviously I just pulled out a piece of paper registry. And I would like you, with this information, to make the 2 journal entries you've been practicing. Okay? And give you a couple minutes.
How's it going?
I didn't know you were.
Yeah.
So you like to express this
In general, you're not like specific business or specific. You are. Or just, so we have a manager. Here. And did you get a trip as well? Is that another class you want? Specific class, you know what I mean? Like to it. Oh, well, so you chose to come here.
Yeah.
So, well, believe me, I'm doing my best. It is that way. Okay. And again, well, welcome. Okay, so is there anything in here that sticks out from a withholding or deduction standpoint as being different that you haven't seen? Right, that's the only thing you haven't seen. So I lent you money, right? You're like, I can't come to work anymore because my training went out of my car and I need to borrow $2,000. And I'm like, you're a great employee. I know that you don't have good credit. I'm gonna lend you the $2,000 and take $30 out of your paycheck for whatever that ends up being a long time, 5 years, I guess. Okay, forget it. Let's say it was a battery for $150. And I'm gonna take $30 out of each paycheck for 5 weeks. When I gave you that money, let's think about this. When I gave you that $150, what did the journal entry look like? What did I credit? I wrote you a check. What did I credit? Cash. I credited cash. What did I debit? What do I have when I gave you $150 I know I'm going to get back? Sorry. It's like a receivable. It's an asset. I own the right to get $150 back from you, don't I? So what kind of account is advance? An asset. Because I just said it. I just bet you the answer. So if I debit that advance account and now you're paying me back $3 towards the money I lent you to buy a battery, what am I going to credit? The asset. So that's the only thing that's weird here. Everything else you should be familiar with. That's the first journal entry. The second journal entry, all you need to know is right down here. You know the rate for Social Security. You know the rate for Medicare. You know the rate for FUTA. That's the only one I have to teach you. And I told you no one's tapped for anything. So have at it. I'll give you a couple more minutes and then we'll go through.
So how many kids do you have?
How big's your high school? Graduating
Oh,
33. So the third one graduating class is here. I don't know. I don't get any other kids that like, not interested in more than
Well, that's
Oh, so everybody's doing something. It's just the college material, or all goes to home, or whatever. Okay. I just think it's much for schools, I know, given the opportunities to get out of the classroom for a day. Maybe you're doing, right? People are going to learn lots.
yeah.
And then they on campus. Senior techniques too. They come. You have the opportunity to fully, like,
I have about 30%.
and you're not going to fall into this cycle. No one's going to get their money back. I can see that. Would you, I guess it's not supposed to be honest. Especially the salt space. Somebody you talk about. Yeah, yeah. I lived in Jesse Hall, the big one. I lived in college in the and I lived in Jesse Hall. And I lived in before the month of the teenage years. When you look at the last performance, did you get to see? So you, was it so all of your homework went around with it?
Yeah.
And then the homework was little. All right, are we ready to take a look at it? So, how many journal entries?
Only three big ones. Three ones.
Dos, solamente dos.
Well, I added in the cash and repaid payments because it's out.
Okay. Yeah, that might be kind of confusing. So the first one, I'm just pulling the numbers straight down, you guys. And as I said, you throw the word payable on all of the withholdings because they're liabilities. You owe that money, right? And what kind of account is advance again, that money I lent you? Current asset, and everything. Second journal entry is, can you run your calculator entry? Gross wages times the different taxes. OASTI is Social Security, HI is Medicare, SUDA and SUDA payable are my unemployment taxes. Do you see the new budget proposal came out of the president's office? Do you see what it included for Medicare? $854 million slash over 10 years. Awesome for people my age, super psyched. That is not going to get a great response from ARP, I can tell you. Anybody know what ARP is?
American Association of
It is. And you know when you first started, how old you are when you first started getting literature from them? 50. I shredded it. I shredded it again when I was 51 and 52 and 53, finally like, all right, I guess I'm a senior citizen. Under my potential benefits.
I bought stuff.
You bought stuff?
But I haven't bought stuff, but I bought stuff.
Why would you get stuff from Olive?
They're the retirement classes.
You go to retirement classes. I bet you they do pull database from that.
What do you mean? Is it
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the retirement and get on my list.
Oh, that's totally where they get it. Because honestly, you're so ahead of your time as a young person thinking about saving for retirement.
So what's the last such date?
Oh, sorry. Don't look at that quite yet. That's what I was saying. Don't look at that quite yet. Okay. Spoiler alert. All right. So this is the payroll tax expense. I just copied the OASDI and HRA, and it calculates the food and students. Okay. Now, last entry, make the 941 deposit, please. Make the 941 deposit. And this should be pretty straightforward. Okay?
So you didn't say that. You said it was 2.96%.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing,
No. Food, you know the rate.
right?
It's always the same. Yeah. Okay, 941 payment. Easy peasy. You double the HI, you double the OASDI, we know that. Need the fit. Could I ask you to look at the dates and tell me what type of depository they are?
Probably.
You should know this. Josh, what kind of depositor do you think they are?
So I was listening.
Okay.
Right on my head.
What? That's okay. Everyone get back there.
Does it have a bi-weekly?
Semi-weekly. They did it within 3 business days. If I told you they made their deposit on the 15th of February, what kind of depositor are they? Monthly. That was the question. Okay. All right. Should we take a look at our homework? Pull it out. Can somebody read me what we're doing? We're doing the discussion or review questions, what?
2, 5, 6, 17.
2, 5, 6.
17.
Thank you. And discussion?
Number 2,
Yeah. And problem?
1, 7, 8.
Grazie. Okay. So just to let you guys know that are watching, we, or at least in all my classes, I record everything. I record everything using a piece of software called TextNet, and then it gets posted to YouTube, and then I bring it down. This is our, do you guys have Moodle in high school?
I had it in middle school.
In middle school? Wow. Okay, do you use Blackboard? in high
Well,
school?
I went to Meta Hill.
Oh, you were not there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I just broke down.
Do you use Blackboard or anything electronic with it? Oh, you did, okay. Well, at any rate, this is where all the classes are located, is in this called a shell, and all your documents that you can go like study from and use, and things that I use to, in the old days were called handouts. So I post to Moodle this URL so that if students don't make class or, want to reinforce, they can go re-listen to the whole lecture. So like if you're really super studious, you would go home at night and re-listen to this whole thing. You wouldn't. You would only do it if you felt like you missed something. Or you needed to see a calculation again. But anyways, just FYI, and how many of your other professors do that? Nobody else does that? Nobody else records their lectures?
Well, the sciences, they do, like, A&P, Colin does.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's kind of slam dunk to me. We're moving, just FYI, from this to a new thing called Zoom. Is anyone familiar with that? Zoom is the new meeting software where people can be in a virtual meeting from lots of different platforms simultaneously.
From Google to Zoom? Or from-
No, from TechSmith, which is what I use to record my lectures, to Zoom. That doesn't really mean anything to you. For me, it's a giant PIA because now I've got to learn this whole new process. What are we doing? Oh, going through the homework.
Have you ever used like GoToMeeting?
Have I ever used that? I don't know what it is.
It's just like a meeting software, just like.
I'm sure Zoom's exactly the same thing. It just happens to be what the university's purchased.
Yeah. GoToMeeting is pretty cheap though, like, maybe advertising. If you're replying, just look, you'll see a GoToMeeting here.
Oh, okay, all right. Cool. The last thing I want to do is go to a meeting when I'm not in a meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's pretty nice, you can mute your mic and just like sit there, you know what I mean?
Right,
You
right.
can kind of control who's
Sure.
and who's not.
and then are you looking at a screen and seeing like a PowerPoint maybe, or a,
Exactly.
okay. Can I be in my PJs? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, review question number 2 at page 636. Let's blow this up a little bit. For what reason are distribution columns sometimes provided in the payroll register? Jenna?
Distribution columns are used for classifying the gross wages and salaries according to the nature of the wage and salary expense.
Good. What kind of company would do that? Like my little bike repair shop gonna have distribution columns? No. Is community medical center gonna have distribution columns? Oh my goodness, heck yeah. Right, I don't really know that much about hospital management or health management, but they've probably got 50 different departments or profit centers or code centers, right? Okay, number 5. Warren, what is meant by the garnishment of wages?
Well, like they just take out a portion of the person's payment or wages to help pay that.
They do. Is there any tax benefit to that, to the employee? No. They take just a portion of your paycheck. What did I say though happens when somebody's wages get garnished? Say you owe that child support. And you go to pick up a check and you think you're going to be picking up a check for $700 and you pick up a check for $380 because your wages are garnished.
So do the employers have to like tell you that you've been garnishment on your wages? It just shows up on their
Just shows up. That's what I'm saying. You're like, I'm working. I'm gonna go pick up my check. I'm gonna pay my rent. I'm gonna pay my daycare lady. I'm gonna pay my, go buy some food. It's Friday night. Whoop whoop. We're gonna take the kids out for pizza. It's like, yeah, none of that's happening.
Well, I feel like you should know if you're getting.
No, I think they
It's like, how do
specifically
you not know
don't
you're
tell you
outstanding
so that you
tax?
don't leave before they at least get a chunk.
This is exactly why. Smart. Exactly what she said. I work 2 days and my boss comes up and goes, I just got a garnishment notice. I'm like, I'm out of here. There's a reason I haven't been paying child support. I hate my ex-husband and I don't like my kids. So I'm not gonna finish working this week out. It's not a sustainable model because I'm never coming back to work after I get a check for $380 and I should have got 700. Or sorry, when I thought I was gonna get 700. But at least my ex-husband got $320 towards the kids. Right?
They can also take it straight out of your bank account. And
Oh,
so-
yeah, we can see them.
They can lean your bank account, but I don't know that that can happen for child support.
I don't know.
They can lean your bank account if you owe taxes.
The county is looking at some options.
Can you say that louder?
So in the past, the county doesn't have a lot of options, you pay back taxes, and I think you're actually looking at using, leads instead.
For child support?
No.
For back taxes?
For back taxes.
Oh, yeah. And I think that already exists.
But I'm saying the county's shifting.
The county, gotcha. Yeah. Well, look, though, if you've got a mobile home and you haven't paid your taxes, they'll just come take it and auction it, and then food shop. Yeah. But again, like, nobody likes paying their tax bill, but why is it okay that some people pay and some people don't? Why is it okay that really super wealthy people can offshore their net wealth to not pay taxes? I can't offshore my paycheck to the Cayman Islands, right? So, you can have a lot of discussions about tax policy and government waste and distribution of tax funds, but once the law is in place, like, to me, that's a slam dunk. Pay your freaking taxes and elect people into office if you want to shift how much you tax and how it's done. Okay, so there's my little 2 cents on that. Number 6, who am I on, Ben?
Number 6, what is general priority order concerning wage attachments?
Yep.
I had a difficult time finding this in the book, but I'm wondering if it's group insurance, health insurance, purchase of government.
Attachment is a layman's term for what? Anyone? Attachment, let me actually write this down. Attachment and lien and garnishment are all similar words. How do you spell lien again? No, you don't. L-E-I-E-N. It's a very funny word. Lien, we're French. So a lien, an attachment, or a garnishment all means you owe somebody money and they've got a way to prove that you owe it to them and they're coming to get it. They all really just super similar words. Greg, where'd you get that one? Yeah. I mean, it's just right out of the book. So if you declare bankruptcy, and I'm one of your creditors, I got first shot. Federal tax levies and child support are number 2, depending on which shows up in the mailbox of the employer first. And really, honestly, everybody else is in number 3. But if you owe money all over town, and you're in like pile of creditors number 3, how much do you think you're going to get? Not a moonshot.
Well, what do we have federal administrative levies, and what is that exactly?
Like back taxes or.
No, I don't know what that is. It's a way, I don't know what it is. I have to read that one. I've never seen it in practice. A wage garnishment in general is like, I worked for you, you owe me money, and you didn't pay me.
But the federal administrative.
Right, that's what I said. I mean, it must be a very specific type of, that I just described. I've never seen one in practice. And again, like, if you're down here at number 3, I would not be holding your breath. Brooke?
I'm confused about the bankruptcy thing, because what I understand about bankruptcy, I know the laws changed like 10-ish years ago or something, but doesn't that go away? Why does that go on?
Bankruptcies can wipe out part of your loans or a part of your debt, but not all. Or they can negotiate, like I gave the example on Tuesday, I go get myself 5 credit cards, I have a party and another party and another party, and all of a sudden I wake up and it's like, oh my gosh, I have $70,000. This makes me crazy too. So then I can go to the credit card company, or I can declare bankruptcy, but I can negotiate like 20 cents on the dollar. So I don't owe 70 grand anymore, I owe 14 grand. So there's a partial amount I still owe.
Doesn't that difference go on to your income?
Yes. So this is pretty important. So, and this is where people get dinged. I've got a couple of clients that are like, what? So just that situation, they've gotten a lot of debt. They've done partial bankruptcy, or you can actually go, and I'm not advocating this, I don't believe in it, but you can go to a credit card company and go, I am never paying you back what I borrowed. But I'll give you 30 cents on the dollar. And they're smart business people. It's like 0 or 30%. And they take the 30%.
I'm sure that makes your credit.
Oh, yeah, you're not doing that just cause. Yeah, you're gonna have 7 years of repercussions on your life. You're gonna, it's your credit score. But I mean, but what you get in the mail then at the end of your tax time is called cancellation of debt income. And all that money that you didn't repay, you have got to declare that as income and pay income taxes on it. See what I'm saying? So I owe you 70 grand, I only pay you 14. I'm gonna get a form in the mail for $56,000 of COD income, cancellation of debt income. And I'm gonna have to pay income tax on that.
That's gonna be really hard.
Right, and then the feds are just gonna be down my butt because I owe the IRS so much money.
You don't know the
Huh?
You want
So you have another garnishment.
So if you file bankruptcy, does that freeze the garnishments you already have until the bankruptcy is
You
decided?
guys are asking too many good questions. Those are sort of attorney-ish questions. I don't think those are really good.
I looked up the administrative wage garnishment.
Okay.
And it is the federal government putting hold on someone's pay when it's at a non-government agency, the business, a non-government agency, and putting on their, a hold on theirs. And then it's only for babysit services, not actually through the government.
So can you give me a real life example of what you just said?
So the city comes out and does something for you.
Okay.
And you don't pay the bill.
City comes up, they lay me sidewalks, they assess me $1,000 for new sidewalks, they don't pay it.
Yes.
And, oh, and then that's the
And then-
federal admin.
Yeah.
Why are the feds stepping in if I have a city?
Well, not city, but like maybe
Okay. Don't be literal.
I was pulling that out of the air.
Okay, got it, thank you. 17. So, and you should know that, you should know number 6, that order. And then this we've done like 5 times now. I'm depositing my 941 taxes, fight the fit, 3 debits, 1 credit. Discussion number 1, or number 2, excuse me. They want to know. Oh, let's hold on to this for a second. This one's kind of interesting. Number 2. Let's go do the practice payroll problems, and then we're going to come back to this. I wanted to have a group discussion on number 2. All right, so practice problems, number 1, 7, and 8. The first one, this guy has not paid his taxes, and he has got garnished wages. Oh, that's another word, isn't it? A levy. Lots of words for the same thing. $4,119.90. He's single. The 3 exemptions, take-home pay of $1,020 this week. How much would his employer take from him? So if you have a federal tax levy, it doesn't work like any other levies or liens or attachments or garnishments, does it? They only let you keep X, and then they take everything else. They let him keep his 3 personal exemption and his standard deduction, and then you have to divide that by 52 weeks. See how much you give him a week. Oop. So that 364.42 is totaling up the 3 exemptions. I think there were 4,050 each. Is that correct? How much were they for each exemption? Huh? Okay, because the numbers change every year, and right now I'm working on a textbook and we're using 2020 numbers, so my head isn't even around 2018 numbers, which is I think what the book uses. So 4,000, what do you guys have written down?
I guess I would do 3 exemptions.
I wrote it down, it was 3, it was single and 3,
Single and 3.
so it's 364.42.
Right, then how much is each exemption worth?
It was, for weekly, it was 125 plus 79.81 for each.
Okay, what page are you on, Brooke?
611.
6? Oh, they break it down to you, for you, to the week.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they give you the number. You don't even have to calculate it. No wonder you guys are all looking at me like I'm nuts. It's right there in that table on the bottom of page 611. They just give you the number. 364.42. So they're taking $655 a week. All right, number 7. These should be super duper easy. The only thing I don't like about the answer key is what word are we putting after payroll tax and wages? Expense, so I know that you know that it's a profit and loss statement. Right? Okay. So, I'm just gonna come around after class and mark off your homework, I don't want to take it. I'm done shuffling. Okay. But I do want to engage in a discussion about number 2, because this is pretty interesting. This might interest you guys. So most of us, until a certain age, when we're ready to be professionals, right? Most of us, you just go in and you get an hourly wage. I'll hire you, and I'll give you $9 and 25 cents an hour. Yay. Actually, not yay. But as you get to be professionals, you have this whole thing called a compensation package. It's way more than just your wage. And what I want to have a discussion on is, what are you looking for as you become a professional and as you are trying to negotiate a full package? So the question very specifically said, I think, what portion, prepare a list of the different kinds of costs that an employer can incur as part of your comp package. You go to work full-time, you got your bachelor's or your associate's or whatever. What's one thing that you're hoping your employer is going to help you with? Insurance. What kind of insurance? Okay. Let's put up some big categories, and then we need to dive into this. Most people, arguably, that would be their number one concern. What other kinds of insurance are there? Liability. Liability.
Well, like, if you have a job where you're in trouble.
Oh, okay. Gosh, like a malpractice insurance? Okay, let me hold that for a second, just because that's not a common benefit, but it could be. What other kinds of insurance that kind of go along with this? Dental and vision, okay. Awesome. So I've got my body and my teeth and my eyes protected. What other kinds of insurance might my employer provide me that might I be interested in?
Life insurance.
Life insurance. Is that what you just said? Yeah. There's one other key one that's super, super critical and falls through the cracks, and you have a much higher chance of needing that than you do this.
Give us a hint.
Disability insurance. Something happens to me over the course of my career, I can't work for a while. And for most of us, unless you've got that 6-month emergency fund that we're supposed to have, what happens if you don't get a paycheck for a month? 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. For most of us, that's game over, right? That's what disability insurance protects you against. So I'm going to talk about these from right to left, and then we're going to talk about other things that we might hope that our employer will provide us with. Disability insurance insures your income stream. And again, for the bulk of us, that's way more important because the odds of you need, I'm a garbage man or a garbage woman, and I work with my body and I get a bone spur taken out of my whatever elbow or knee. I'm not going to work for 2-3 months during rehab. Oh my God, how am I paying my mortgage? Right? So that kind of thing. Or, I'm me, middle-aged woman, and oh my gosh, breast cancer. So I'm out for 6 months with heavy-duty chemo. Just going to pay my bills. I mean, a car accident. You can imagine how many different kinds of things, right? If you get hurt on the job, I'm a logger, and something happens to me out in the woods, what do I collect from? Workers' comp. This is, I go skiing on the weekend and fracture my pelvis coming off the jump. Workers' comp isn't paying for that, right? and oh my God, I'm not gonna walk for 4 months, and I'm a waitress for a living. What do I do? Okay. There's two kinds, short-term and long-term. Long-term is for if you're off work for 6 or more months. So that's big stuff. I'm in critical care, right? Something huge has happened. Now, let's talk about this, 6 or more months. Has anybody here ever heard of somebody that's on, heard them say or know of somebody that's on long-term disability? Generally, that means what program that we've studied about. Does it mean they have private long-term disability insurance? It means they're on OASDF, Old Age Survivors and Disability, they're on Social Security. And can I tell you, if you're on Social Security long-term disability, you are not cashing a big check. You're living on $900, $1,000, $1,100 a month. Okay? And I will tell you, we have scabs of people here in Missoula that are now becoming homeless because they're living on long-term disability checks. And like some of our big, beautiful downtown buildings that have all these like little one-room shared bathroom places up above them, where a lot of these folks lived, are being turned into condos or Airbnbs. And I've met some of these people, because I work with the homeless population in Missoula, and you meet these people, and it's like, I've been living here since 1980, on $900 a month in a Korean War vet. Got a little room, shares a bathroom. It's like, where are you going? Oh, I got a cousin in Omaha, and I got a shed out there. I mean, it is really tragic. That's what happens when towns get discovered, like Missoula has.
So a question, my uncle worked for Boyce and he got injured on the job and he was making Google bucks and he's got long-term disability through the employer and he was still making a fraction of his paycheck, which was still like $100,000 a year. So what was he on then?
Great question. I would have to look at that more. Most long-term disability checks insure your income.
It's like, I'm called not like, different disability premium insurance, you know what I mean?
They're all one of these three things. I get injured permanently at Boyce Lumber. I mean, $100,000 a year. If I've got a 50% policy, it's going to pay me out $50,000 a year for the rest of my life. 60%, it's going to pay me $60,000, etc. But there's a cap on it. So if my job was $500,000 a year, there's still some cap. They're not going to pay me out 66%. I have oncologists making $2 million a year. They're not going to pay me out 66% of that. But $100,000 is not going to cap. Short term is 0 to 6 months. So really, they're going to tell you, financial planners are going to tell you should have how many months of living sitting in your bank account? 6 months. You get anybody that's taking my finance class with that?
Susie Orman says more nowadays.
Susie Orman says.
I love Susie Orman.
Susie
I
Orman.
love Susie Orman.
Who does her hair?
I don't know, but she's pretty great though. She used to say 6 months, and she says with this current climate, she's like, you should definitely aim for more than 6 months. I think she said like 8 or 9 months now.
Susie cashes royalty checks. Most of us are never going to have 9 months of living sitting in a bank account. Okay.
I like her.
I mean, what's her story? Wasn't she like kicked out of her apartment and super broke, couldn't buy a toothbrush? And then what happened to her?
I have no idea. She worked her way from the bottom to the top. I don't know, stripping. I don't know.
Yeah, but your net income. Yeah, your net income. Okay, disability insurance. I will tell you, we have long-term disability insurance. I pay $12 a month for it. It's nothing. But if something happens to one of us, the other person's salary is covered. Buy it. You need it. Everybody needs it. You don't need it right now if you're a student, you don't have any. But if you've got a kid, or debts, or you're a young person, you want your parents to take care of you forever? Have to take care of you forever? No. This is one-on-one, right? And you get it from places like What's the insurance company with the dog? Aflac. Aflac. Okay, life insurance, what are you insurance? Ugh, they turn the name of your life, right? So why do you care about insuring your life if you're dead? Why do you care anymore? And what are those called? What are the people that get the money if you die called? Beneficiary. Okay? Okay? It's to take care of your beneficiaries. You need it a lot if you are young and have children. Even if you're married, like if you're married and have kids, and you tragically both die, hopefully you have somebody in your will because you've already asked, hey, will you watch my kids? Right? Oh, so Greg agreed to watch my kids. My husband and I die in a plane crash on one of the 737 MAX aircraft before they're grounded. Sorry. And Greg's like, oh, awesome, 3 kids. But I didn't leave him any life insurance money. Dude is going to be poor forever. Yeah, pissed off or more, right? So you have to have life insurance if you expect somebody to raise your children, right? So you would name them as a beneficiary in the policy if you co-pass, right? All right, health insurance, let's talk about this. So you go, you apply for a job, and I go, yay, you're hired. I have a health insurance plan. Are you like doing a happy dance? Or do you even know anything? Oh my God, just saying I have a health insurance plan means nothing, does it? Let's generate a list of questions you want to ask. What do you want to know? Tell me what does deductible mean? This is the amount you have to take out of your pocket and pay your doctor, your pharmacist, your physical therapist, your acupuncturist, your naturopath, whatever you use, before the insurance covers the penny. And it's usually quoted as 2 numbers. It looks like this. So say, let's go back to example, husband, wife, 3 kids, 5 people, right? Each person is $3,000 out of pocket before insurance even kicks in. But as a family, it can't be more than 6. So I have surgery, my husband has surgery, 2 of our kids have surgeries. $3,000 for me, $3,000 for my husband, and then we've got the 6. So that's just, you don't even have insurance until you got this. Okay, and then somebody else said something after the deductible, what's next?
I said copay.
Yes. So you're like, oh, sweet, I hit my deductible. That's not sweet, $6,000 out of pocket. But I'm there, everything's covered. Is it? No, what's a copay?
So if you're going to visit the doctor, you should have to pay for medications and stuff too, right?
It's usually quoted as a percentage. Insurance will pay 80, you pay 20. But if you go out of your provider network, oh gosh, I was in Kentucky skydiving, I'm back to the planes, and the chute couldn't open. So I have to have a doctor, but it's not in my preferred provider. So now it's down to 60/40. So I'm not just, don't have to just take $3,000 to it. And then, just what you said, there's also sometimes like a fixed dollar amount. Every time you go to the doctor, it's $30. Every time you go to your PT, it's 15 or whatever. What else do I care about? There's 2 other really big numbers. Ooh, that's kind of a side thing here. Don't you care what the premiums are and who pays them? We have this really phenomenal health insurance plan, everything's covered, but you only have to call it $1,200 a month. Awesome. And my paycheck's 15, so that's not super helpful. You want to have to know the premiums, and what's the split? Is it like a 50-50, or sometimes the employer will pay pays for the employee, and then the employee pays for everyone else in his or her family. That's pretty common. Or we just split everything 50-50, that's less common. Employers just can't ingest all that overhead. We have a runaway, rampant, out of control, Congress owned by big pharma system in this country, and nobody can absorb the cost. So employers are just throwing their hands in the air like, I can only do what I can do. If I'm out of business, that's not helpful to you, because you're on a job. Okay? There's also something called out of pocket. How much can I be out of pocket in total in a year with all this? So I got this, I got this, I got this. There's a cap for that. And then the fourth big number, which Obamacare took away, which is great, is the maximum lifetime limit. They used to be able to cap maximum lifetime limit. $1 million for that. And Obamacare, like $100. So we don't have that anymore. But a lot of policies used to be 1 million, some were 2 million. I'm gonna say that sounds like a shit ton of money, but it's really not. Now, here's again to prove my point about the whole big pharmaceutical companies. The hold they have on this country is that has now been, prescriptions have been pulled out of all this to have their own set of deductibles and their own set of co-pays and their own. So you think that's in there? I've got a friend right now paying $11,000 a month for a chemotherapy. Holy crap. She's not paying it. We're all paying it. And if I'm the executive at one of the big pharma companies, I'm cashing my $20 million paychecks about that and I. Elect people that are going to fight them. Elect people that are going to fight them.
Did you hear that the creators of, what's it called? Oh my gosh. Oxytocin, I believe. Oxycontin. Well, oxytocin is just a different form of the same drug. But anyways, they are being investigated for finding out that they lied about their addiction rates.
I can see that. And that is, they should be arrested for war crimes or crimes against humanity. They've got 700,000 opioid overdoses on their.
I know, they should be
cautious.
Cool.
Crazy. Okay, so if you get health insurance, these are all the things I have to ask about. Dental insurance, I'm going to tell you, I've never seen it cancel out. We get it here, and you go in, and it's like, I got dental insurance, can you clean my teeth, and you still get a bill for $100. Like, it covered 26 months of it.
It's go to in-network. I bill insurance, I work at dental office.
Okay,
So-
what's the scoop with it?
So you have to go to in-network providers if you don't want to owe.
I have an in-network
You
provider.
shouldn't really owe anything because they have contractual amounts with the insurance company, so they can't overcharge
I
to
think
what they'll amount to.
everything.
Then that's not an in-network provider then. Because you honestly should owe a penny if you go to in-network.
We should get it every 6 months.
I had one that paid 70% of my dental bills, and I went and had a friend that went to the same dentist, got the same thing done, both paid the same cash for dental insurance. They just charged the insurance company and charged me the same they paid that.
Dental is left behind with medical and everything. It's atrocious. I sit on a daily basis and get a lot of angry phone calls, so.
Okay, so I'm not off base when I say that I'm not a big believer in the cost benefit. I would never pay for it myself. I'm
Yeah.
covered by it.
Yeah, so if you get
okay,
it
I got
for free-
26 bucks for
If
my
you get it for
teeth.
free, it's totally worth it, but if you have to pay for it, there's no,
Okay.
for what you pay every month into it, you don't get that. amount
Unless you
back.
have, 10 grand worth of dental work that you need, but not even that.
No, because insurance has a loud amount, so they'll say they cover 100%. So for example, we charge 113 for cleaning, insurance will we'll cover 100% of $80. You owe that difference, 50%. So for a $100 crown, they'll
Same,
cover
same.
50% of $800.
Okay, so you're actually agreeing with my statement,
Yeah.
that dental
Yeah,
insurance
it's a
usually
joke.
doesn't pencil
Yeah,
out.
it's a joke.
Okay, I think it's kind of Spanish.
It is.
And vision insurance, I would say, lies between dental and medical. The vision insurance we have here is pretty good. You're gonna ask the same questions. What's your deductible? And then just really basic stuff like, do you cover an annual exam? An annual exam costs out, it's just $180. They cover it, hey, right there is the math. You need your eyes checked once a year. How much do you give me towards frames? How much do you give me towards contact lenses? And if you've got eye issues, you can pencil that out pretty easily. Okay, last thing, what else do you want to know if your employer helps you with besides all these different kinds of insurance?
Daycare.
Huh? Daycare, interesting.
Wow.
I didn't really think about that, but yeah, you don't see a lot of that in Missoula, but I have a lot of tax clients that are like from Cali or Arizona. And in big cities, that's a huge thing, particularly with big companies that have on-site daycare, or if they help contribute to your daycare costs. What's it cost a month to put a little guy under kindergarten age that's potty trained in daycare?
That's about $400.
How much is it?
About $400.
A month?
Yeah.
That's it?
Well, it's about $32 a day.
Oh, most people live by month, 825 on top.
I've heard up to $600, $700, $800 a month.
I think 725.
$725 a month. And if you've got an infant, crank that up a couple $100 a month. Okay, so do the math on that very carefully before you have children.
Well, like the Montessori.
Huh? A red checker if you live in a nice place. Okay. And the last thing, you want to know what your employer is doing towards your pension. Are you helping fund, are you matching,
I did my
the bonus? Okay, so as a wrap, what are we doing as far as getting ready for the exam on Thursday? Praying can be a piece of it, but I don't think that's the complete answer. You have got, let's see, I've got to get my glasses back on. Have I posted the review?
I haven't seen it, no.
Have you looked?
Yeah, I was just on it today, right before class. and during class.
Okay, I will go open that up right now. It's not up there now. I've got a review 2 and a review 2 key, and then a sample 940. So you should work all those to get ready for the exam. On Tuesday, we are going to play around on QuickBooks. And when I say play, I literally mean play. So there's not going to be points associated with it. I might throw on a few questions on the test. Bonus points, maybe. But there's really nothing to turn in. I'm not a QuickBooks expert.
You don't use QuickBooks, or?
I don't do any bookkeeping anymore. I do more like consulting and taxes, not just, that used to be my bread and butter.
It's a loafer.
You would want to get my billing rate for me to do your bookkeeping at the bottom line. I used to do it, but it was all unbelievable. That's all I am. Okay.
Did you want to look at our homework?
Oh, yes, thank you. I do.
As many points as I can get.